Neuro movement.
And what that encompasses is a 2.5-year program of training that they go to get certified, at the end of which they have a choice. They begin practicing, but they can go on for another year of advanced training, and this is particularly directed toward children with special needs, to do the same kind of training with children rather than certified for adults. Lara is going to be speaking after the dinner. They're having a graduation dinner coming up, and Lara is going, as one of the trainers, is going to be giving some remarks to this group of graduates from this advanced year of training in the Danielle method. So please help me welcome our after-dinner speaker, Lara Gillies.
Welcome, Danielle method students. Now that you've eaten dinner, your bellies are content, your blood sugar has stabilized, there's only one thing left for you to do. Please lie on your back. Oh, I'm sorry, I think I'm getting mixed up. Is this the graduation ceremony? Oh, I thought we were going to do a movement lesson. Congratulations on being here at your graduation and completing your coursework over the last year in learning how to work with special needs children. When I was in segment 4 of my training with Danielle for the Children's Mastery, Anat did another one of her amazing demonstrations with a special needs child. Need I say more? Afterwards, she asked for comments. I had a comment. I said, I don't know how to do that. I was overwhelmed with emotion. I was ready to cry, not 1 or 2 tears, a torrential downpour of tears. What I had just witnessed was so intensely beautiful and loving and gentle and kind and clear. And I was in awe of that, and at the same time, I felt incredible desperation knowing that this was something that I would completely fail at doing on my own. The movements she did with the child, he was about 2 years old, autistic. I knew how to do those movements. We had learned those in the Children's Mastery. It wasn't that. That wasn't the that I was speaking of. The that what I was speaking of was the incredible loving connection she made with the child, the unconditional lovingness that she had and held and created for that child. At the same time, that she was a leader, not a rigid leader, but she was leading him into learning processes. At some point, he noticed the lights up on the ceiling, and he pointed, and pretty soon, she was making a game out of pointing at the lights, and he was pointing at the lights. And at the same time, she was working with him on how to arch his back and use his back, something that was very difficult for him, that's typically difficult for autistic children. So here she is creating this learning environment, leading that process, and yet being very loving, very gentle, and the whole thing just flowed so smoothly, like it was nothing, and yet this child was making this incredible leaps and bounds of learning. I don't know how to do that, and I knew I didn't know how to do that. I had a few practice children. I had not done that, I can tell you that much. I had done some of the movements, but not that profound, deep, loving, learning connection with the child. When I said that in front of the class to Anat, she said, when I said, I don't know how to do that, and was ready to explode into tears, she said, ah, but you will. You will, and you will do even more. I wanted to believe her. I so wanted to believe her, but I didn't. Sometime later, back home in my practice, a mom brought a special needs child to me, her son, who has cerebral palsy. He wasn't walking. He wasn't sitting up. He couldn't, even if someone placed him sitting up, he'd fall over. He wasn't rolling over onto his belly, nor even on his back rolling from side to side. He didn't use his right arm at all and never had in his life. He was 15 months old. The hand was fisted and the arm was back here. In his 15 months of age, he had spent 15 months of it several times a week in traditional therapy, in which what they did was stretch the arm, pull the arm, pry the fingers open, in which he screamed and cried because it's painful to the child. They had never done the Anat-Ben-Yael method before. They knew nothing of it. This was their first experience. They came for a 3-day intensive, which is twice a day for 3 days. The child loved the work. He loved the lessons. He was laughing, enjoying himself. The mom was so surprised because this was just the opposite of what she had experienced with him in traditional therapy. I knew not to touch the arm because there was so much trauma and worry around because other people had hurt him by touching that arm. So I didn't. I worked with him. On the 3rd day, I had him leaning against me and sitting with his knees bent to the left, his feet bent to the right. So his arm that he could use, he would pick up food. He would get very, very hungry during the lessons. He could pick up food and eat, little snacks. And so with him side-sitting this way, it's much easier to lean on the arm that he usually uses. So he still had not used this arm at all, and like he hadn't ever in his life. And I said to the mom, put the food down over here on the side of his affected arm, near the affected arm. And then what I did is I very gently, not touching the arm, it was just under the armpit, I just very gently leaned him forward and kind of nudged the arm a little forward so the arm dangled over the food. And for the first time in his life, he lengthened his arm down, and for the first time, he opened his fingers, and he awkwardly picked up that piece of food and brought it to his mouth. His mother wasn't breathing. The physical therapist was in the room. She wasn't breathing. I don't even think I was breathing. Because in that moment, that child had taken, I had been doing little different movements with him, and he had been taking all this different bits and pieces of information, and he had extracted something completely new out of it. He had I was witnessing, I was experiencing him learning. His learning switch was turned on full, bright, burning brightly. And that feeling of his learning switch turning on, him extracting something completely new out of all this other information, was one of the most amazing feelings I have ever felt in my life. I felt like I was blissed out from the experience of him having this profound, deep learning and attentiveness to himself. I thought I literally had died and gone to heaven with this feeling. I realized later that that I had said to Anat, wasn't going to experience, didn't know how to do, I had really been profoundly and deeply and lovingly connected with this child. I had I had the experience. I've worked with a few more children since then, and from time to time, I have I have that deep, profound, loving connection with the child that I see and not have so much in all those lessons. I have experienced that. And you will too. You will too. That's what you bring to this work. That's what you bring to the world now. Congratulations to you on completing your children's mastery. And congratulations on beginning your journey into bringing this work to the special needs children in this world by being an Anat-Ben-Yael method for children practitioner.